and 7 Spanish angels took another angel home.
Hey, I'm Willie Nelson, and you're watching HempRock TV.
We don't run, and we don't compromise, we don't quit, we never do.
Howdy, friends and neighbors. I am Master Sergeant Tony Vance, the voice of Freedom's Voice. I got my grandpa's World War I veterans cap on and my Freedom is Not Free coffee cup. Let's talk about policing for profit. There's an interesting angle to the horror story of the 3 women who were kidnapped and held captive for 10 years and who escaped their captors in Cleveland, Ohio. In that case, neighbors called the police several times in 2011 and 2012 about goings-on at the house where the women were being held. One neighbor reported seeing a woman crawling around the backyard in a leash. In that instance, the police were called, but they did not enter the house. Why they didn't, I don't know. Neighbors claim they witnessed things that led them to believe all was not right in that house. They claim they called the police on numerous occasions. Police, for their part, of course, deny receiving the calls. Maybe the neighbors should have reported smelling marijuana coming from the house, or better yet, some kind of chemical smell. Like maybe they're making some kind of drugs over there, tell the cops. 2 calls like that, and the police would have been there with a SWAT team within 48 hours. You can bet. The police respond to what makes them money, not to what might be a crime but doesn't make them any money. In an opinion piece on the Alternate website written by Kristen Gwynn titled "Why Cops Bust Down the Doors of Medical Pot Growers but Ignore the Doors of People Who Have Naked Girls on Leashes," a pretty good case is presented as to why this is so. A former LAPD captain of detectives makes the case. Retired law enforcement veteran Stephen Downing, former captain of detectives in the LAPD, says he has not seen the proof that police failed to adequately respond to information in the case. Of course, I would think he would. Indeed, police cannot possibly crack and investigate every angle all the time, even though that's their job. At the same time, we must recognize that police are incentivized to go after certain crimes, like drug crimes, and not other more heinous crimes like rape or murder or whatever. And the reason they do that is simply because they don't make money if they solve your murder. They make money if they bust a drug dealer. I think they get money from the feds and you name it. Okay? And the federal cash giveaways make police departments' reactions to drug cases much more swift and severe. They get money from the feds every time they bust somebody. The statistical demands of the drug war and the grants that come from federal government, all they do is incentivize local police to chase drugs and chase seizures so they can supplement their budgets. We call that policing for profit. Furthermore, allowing military training of local police has turned our police into drug warriors instead of police officers or peace officers. Okay? We train them as a military. A military has to have an enemy. Guess who the enemy is? Black, brown, and poor people who commit minor crimes just to get by and are heavily criminalized for it. Some problem with being poor apparently makes you a crook. Every police department, every sheriff's department, and the federal government have personnel who are dedicated 100% to drug enforcement. And the result of that is to use police resources for that purpose. Perhaps the strongest example of how drug war policing can distract resources from more pressing problems is the use of the department's laboratories. In Ohio, police agencies across the state have sent more than 2,300 rape kits, untested rape kits, to the state crime lab for testing. Some of them are decades old and could contain vital clues regarding suspects in rapes, but they've been backed up in police departments across the country because they're busy chasing drug dealers. What they don't talk about is, why do they have that backlog in the first place? The answer is that drugs take a priority because they often involve people in custody and they're going to be in court. So when they show up in court, they got to have the tests. Thousands and thousands of tests run through our police labs for drugs, when most of the time it's simply a personal use decision. Most of the time it's a recreational use of drugs rather than abuse of drugs. But our criminal justice system is completely involved in dealing with drug crime rather than dealing with crime that truly affects public safety, like property crimes against persons and violence against each other and all that. The community is involved in solving these cases, and the willingness of people is helpful, Downing said. If the police department would recognize more the true value of their community policing, as opposed to going drugs and asset seizures for profit and for-profit modalities, all our communities would be better off and more aware. We couldn't have said it better ourselves. On the cancer front, we got 12 done, 2 more to go. Next Saturday will be number 13. After 14, we'll get a scan. We'll let you know what's happening. Y'all take care and see you next time.
Hi, I'm Willie Nelson, and the Willie Nelson Teapot Party and I endorse Veterans for Medical Cannabis Access.
Just roll me up and smoke me